Is the real estate market really about to crash? Well, in today's video, I'm going over just that, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, I'm Bryce Greenleaf. I'm a local real estate agent here in the greater Seattle area. If this is your first time tuning in, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you get notified every time that I put out a new video. I love making videos all about the local Seattle area and the local real estate market. And in today's video, like I said, I'm going to talk about the real estate market specifically. So if you pay attention to the news, you watch other YouTube videos, you watch any of the other news outlets, you may have heard from some experts that say they think the real estate market is due for a huge crash, we're overdue, we can't sustain this for very long, and you should prepare for a crash to come. Really a lot of doom and gloom experts. You know, and if you pay attention to the real estate market itself, I'm sure you're aware of how strong of a market is for sellers and how wildly these homes are increasing in value at just a rapid rate. I mean, we're talking over 17% in annual home price increases in just 1 year, and that's just absolutely insane. Really a much more healthy increase in home prices is somewhere around 5% annually. So when we see a 17% annual increase, this is obviously something that's not going to be sustainable for the long term. But does this necessarily mean that we're due for an incoming real estate market crash? I don't think so, and I'm going to explain to you why here on this video. So when a real estate market crashes, that means we're going to have more home sellers or more homes for sale than we do have buyers in order to buy those homes. So right now we've got way more buyers than we do sellers, which is causing the problem of these homes getting bid up well over asking price, with contingencies being removed on all these offers, people waiving inspection contingencies and appraisals and their financing contingencies, and just making these offers that we have not really seen before at a large scale, and now are happening on almost every single home in many parts of the country. In fact, on average in the US, every home that goes on the market is getting 4 offers from buyers. And now this is of course market specific, but I can tell you in the Seattle area, on average, it's probably a lot more than 4. I've been a part of many transactions, both where I'm representing the seller and I'm representing the buyer, where we've got 10, 15, even 20 offers on some of these homes. There are some homes that have gotten 30 to 50 offers as well, which is just absolutely insane. So I'd say the 4 offers per home is definitely the national average, but in some places like the local greater Seattle area, it's even more than that. So you can see why these prices are jumping up so much, because some of these buyers have cash available and they are desperate and willing to pay whatever to get into a home. They don't care what the home actually appraises for. They just want to get into this house and will pay whatever they need to in order to do that. So it's just greatly inflating all of these prices. Now, like I said, in order for us to have a market crash, we're going to have to shift dramatically to have more sellers than we do buyers. And so we're talking, if we've got 4 offers on every home, our market could still support a huge influx in new inventory without crashing. It would have to be a pretty insane amount of new inventory and a pretty insane amount of decrease in amount of buyers in order for this to actually occur. Now you look at interest rates, and that's one thing that people can point to, is how interest rates can affect the market. So right now we're hovering right around 3%. We've gone up and down a little bit, but we're right around 3% in the average interest rate right now for a 30-year fixed mortgage. So a lot of people will tell you, well, interest rates are eventually going to go up, and when they go up, it's going to have a huge effect on the market, and it's going to take a ginormous chunk of buyers out of the market. And while the increase in interest rates can definitely decrease the amount of buyers a bit, I don't see any dramatic impact that that's going to have. When you look at rates historically here, rates are extremely low now than they have ever been in history. I mean, just 2.5 years ago, we were approaching 5% in interest rates, and there was still a very strong buyer pool at that time. It was still a seller's market and still multiple offers on a lot of homes in that market. And we were near 5%. We're at 3% right now. And I highly doubt we're going to see a 2% or more increase in interest rates anytime soon. We should be staying relatively low where we're at. It sounds like for at least all of this year and probably next year as well. And so I don't see any looming crash being caused by any kind of dramatic rise in interest rates. We may increase a little bit in interest rates, like I said, and it may decrease a little bit of that buyer pool, but it's not going to be anything dramatic enough to cause any kind of market crash. Now, the other thing that we look at is how the COVID pandemic has really affected those homeowners in terms of forbearances and potential foreclosure. So as you know, a lot of homeowners went into forbearance because they could not make their mortgage payment anymore because they weren't working. Well, Forbearances are on the decline. So a lot of homeowners are getting back into a steady position and are no longer in forbearance. So just recently, the number of forbearances fell below 5% of all loans in the US. That's a total of 2.5 million homeowners in forbearance right now. Now, that may sound like a pretty large number, but it has been decreasing relatively rapidly here as of late, and we would continue to expect this to do so. But let's just take into account that many of these people in forbearance may not be able to recover completely and may not be able to catch up on their mortgage payments, and so they're in a tough position where they can't afford to own their home anymore. So this comes into play with the whole foreclosure conversation. And when we're talking about foreclosures, a foreclosure happens when a homeowner owes more on their home than that home is actually worth. Now, let's just think about this logically a little bit. How many homeowners do we think actually owe more on their home right now than the market will support for the purchase price? With the way that these prices have been going, purchase prices going through the roof, homeowners have plenty of equity to sell their home if they need to. In fact, homeowner equity is at all-time highs at $21.1 trillion for US homeowner equity. Now, this is up $1.5 trillion since Q4 of 2019. So as you can see, a lot of people are gaining a lot more positive equity in their home. So even if they're having troubles making their mortgage payments right now, they still have the opportunity to be able to sell that home without having to go into foreclosure. On top of that, negative equity has fallen by 21% annually. That's in 1 year, negative equity across the United States has fallen by 21%. So this again is good news for those homeowners that can't afford their mortgage payment right now. They're still in forbearance and they're gonna have a tough time getting out of it. I know that's not good news, but the good news is the prices have been going up so much that those owners very, very likely have enough equity that they can just put their home on the market and sell their home without having to go through a foreclosure. And now on top of this, the CFPB has proposed a new rule that really limits mortgage servicers from being able to start a foreclosure process on anybody before the end of this year, before December 31st, 2021. So this gives these homeowners even more time to pull out of this forbearance, pull out of these issues that they're going through with affording their mortgage payment. The CFPB is also proposing a new loan modification process that would allow some homeowners to alter their interest rate, lower their interest rate to help out with their monthly mortgage payment, or extend the term of their loan, or altogether just reduce their monthly mortgage payments. This would again provide relief to some of these homeowners that are in forbearance right now. So from all of these statistics and these potential new rules that could be implemented, we see a lot of opportunity for those that are struggling right now with forbearances to be able to pull out of it, whether that be to keep their home or whether that be to just put their home on the market and sell it. So you might say, well, if a lot of these people end up selling these 2.5 million forbearances, if many of them end up putting their home on the market, that's going to increase our inventory. We need more inventory in our market right now. And so it's not going to be anything that's going to crash our market. It's not going to be enough to really shift the amount of sellers to go far beyond the amount of buyer demand that we have. It's of course not something we want to see. We don't want to see these homeowners struggling to keep up with their mortgage payments and having to sell their home because of what's happened in the last year or so with the COVID pandemic. But like I'm saying, it's not going to be something that affects our market too greatly in terms of a massive foreclosure and just market crash like we saw in 2008. That's not at all what is going to happen. The 2008 crisis was caused by subprime mortgage lending, basically lenders giving out mortgages to people that had no business having a mortgage. And regulations have been really tightened up since then, and that's just not a problem that we are facing right now. What we're facing is a problem caused largely due to the COVID pandemic. And because of everything that I've explained here, it's not going to be something that's bad enough that's going to really cause our market to completely crash or have any issue. Now, I think, like I said, it's not sustainable what we're doing. 17% annual increases in home prices is not something that's going to happen every single year. That is not sustainable. So it needs to calm down at some point, and I think it will calm down a little bit. I think it's going to get a little bit buyer friendly at some point. I don't know how soon, maybe not until next year sometime, but I think at some point the inventory is going to start to pick up with vaccinations coming out and a lot more people getting vaccinated, so a lot more sellers maybe getting more comfortable to put their home on the market. And again, with maybe some of these sellers that are in a tough spot, some of these homeowners that are in a tough spot with forbearance putting their home on the market now, could increase our inventory a little bit and push our market towards a slightly more balanced area, so it makes a little bit better for buyers to be buying, because 17% in annual home price increases, like I said, is just not something we can sustain year over year. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you for sure what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. I just personally look at the evidence and what I see going on in the market and what the statistics are showing us, and I don't see any evidence for a market crash, like I said. So if you've got any questions on the local real estate market, feel free to reach out to me here. Like I said, my info is at the screen, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have, or you can simply comment down below with any questions you have and I can respond to you there as well. But I appreciate you guys watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.